Hello, in this lesson, I want you to compare ratios and I want you to solve proportions. Some vocabulary you're going to come across are ratio, proportion, means, extremes, rate, unit rate, scale, and scale models. We have a lot of vocabulary going on here. Let's start with our first vocabulary word. A ratio shows relative size of two or more values. The important thing about a ratio, they have to have the same units. If they don't have the same units, then you have to have units in them, and that's called a rate. That's the only difference. So a ratio is just a comparison of two numbers. Now, you can show a ratio with a colon. You can show it with a fraction. One thing I didn't write down, you can show it with the word 2, like 1, 2, 3. You can show it as a decimal, and you can show it as a percentage. I've got some examples down here. As a decimal, when you see 0.25, that means 25 out of 100, because 0.25 is 25 hundredths, and we reduce that to 1 to 4. Same thing with a percent. That would be out of 100, and then you reduce that percent. To see if two ratios are the same, they just have to be the same number. They have to reduce. So we're just going to reduce our fractions. So if I take a look at 2/3 here, that's already reduced, isn't it? Then I take a look at 16 over 24. And it looks like 8 goes into the numerator and the denominator, so I'm going to reduce that. So 16 divided by 8 is 2. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Notice they're the same. So yes, these are equivalent. Two equivalent fractions or ratios are called a proportion. So if it's a proportion, it's true. Now, how do you reduce a decimal? That's always an interesting question. So I've got 2 over 3.5. Well, you get rid of the decimal by multiplying by 10. So what I'm going to do, if I multiply the denominator by 10, I got to multiply the numerator by 10. So you get 20 over 35. Then I reduce that because I could divide numerator and denominator by 5. 20 divided by 5 would be 4. 35 divided by 5 would be 7. Then I'll take a look at my other ratio, 8 over 14. Does that reduce to 4 over 7? Well, it looks like I could divide by 2 then. Divide by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 14 divided by 2 is 7. These are the same. So yes, this is a proportion or equivalent ratios. Well, let's take a look at example 3. We'll take a look at the same thing. I've got 0.3 over 1.5. So I'm going to multiply by 10 by moving my denominator or my decimal one place to the right. So I get 3 over 15. Then notice you can divide the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3, and I get 1 to 5. Now let's do the same thing with our other ratio. I got 0.5 is to 2. I'm going to move the decimal over 1, so we get 5 to 20, which reduces to 1 to 4. Notice these two are not the same, so these are not equivalent ratios. I like to highlight my questions there, or my answers.